1 2 1 2 1 2. Hopefully you can hear me fine. Hey everyone. Hey ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to say now everybody is on this Mandalay Bay attack, and everybody is forgetting what happened in with Hurricane Harvey and Irma and Maria and the rest. And I would not be surprised that this is stuck in their rights for everybody to forget, but people who are there will never forget. Even whom I'm not there, I will never forget. And I want you to see what news reporter from Fox News said about Harvey.
Shelter, and they're laying on cots and the water is rising around them as they're sleeping. So this is what the president obviously has on his mind as he heads to Missouri and tries to move forward with some of the agenda while he lets
some of the agenda he's trying to move forward, yeah?
While he lets everybody on the ground do the work that they are well equipped to do. You know, it's an obvious man-made, I mean, not man-made.
What did you just say there? Let's hear it again.
I mean, not man-made, natural.
Not man-made.
Man-made, I mean, not man-made, natural. Man-made, I mean, not man-made, natural, incredible disaster that Texas is dealing with. And
yeah, okay, right, that's one. Yeah, that's just a starter for you to maybe get interested into this. So I will tell you, this guy here who will be talking, he was there. He went to help from Dallas or somewhere else, from different place. He went to help with many people with guns and everything. He went to help people. He went to bring. He had lots of stuff, lots of water, lots of food. Money don't matter in these places. So please, everyone should listen to this guy. He was there. He knows what he's talking about. You need to hear every single thing what he's saying. Definitely, just listen.
I was in Dallas a couple days. I made it down to Waco, Texas. I'll be heading down to Houston tomorrow. I'm very sorry to have to report this news that I'm about to report to you, but it's real. It's really happening on the ground, on the boots, reporting of what just happened last couple weeks in Harvey, which everybody's pretty much forgotten about. Everybody sees the videos of the elderly being left to fend for themselves in the waist-deep water while help never arrived, and you'll find out why here very disturbingly. Here's elderly, but what do you don't see here, folks? You don't see a lot of black people being shown in the rescue efforts. Look at this. Funeral home. They have to do it themselves. There was no help. And I'm going to tell you why there was no help. It was designed that way, folks. There's some black people. But they were left on your own. People were left on their own. So let's get into it. This is from a guy from the Ozarks who was with Open Carry, who went to help, called his buddies in. Let's listen to his story, but it's a very disturbing story, folks. It's time to wake up. It's time to grow up. It's time to really understand what this country is all about now.
Some of the people that were going to the FEMA fusion centers were not to be heard or seen from again. Rescue response for Hurricane Harvey, because somebody encouraged me today to tell my story. And this is a very small piece of the story from what I witnessed on the ground. And I know that a lot of people know that I was there, involved in some of the search and rescue and some other things that were going on. And make sure I'm not covering up my microphone. And I need to tell this story because some of these things are still going on, and they're probably going on in Florida now. And it's very important because this covers what people have considered to be conspiracy theory. It is what people have not been told in the media, and it's the kind of thing that the government and the media covers up so that people don't have an understanding of what's going on. Landed back in Texas on Sunday night and immediately got to work because the hurricane stopped on the coast and then just continued to spin, and was continuing to spin northward along the entire coast when I arrived back in Texas. And so within 24 hours of getting home, I got sleep. I obtained a boat, a truck, gas money, funding, and within 24 hours, I was on the road heading from Dallas to Houston. And when I arrived in Houston, I was contacted by one of my militia brothers out of Texas, and where some of the guys were set up. I got to Houston about midnight that first night, and when I rolled through, the militia had taken over a liquor warehouse that was in basically like a strip mall. And the back of the strip mall had a fence on the back side of it, which gave them operational security because they had boundaries and borders. They took over the whole alleyway and had guys on the roof and were able to secure their position and where they were at. And I quickly found a place that we were able to bed down, have a safe place. And the first thing that I noticed there, that it was like the purge. All I could hear that night was car alarms going off and glass breaking and gunshots. Luckily, I was able to bed down and get things ready and unpack my guns and ammunition, and I got zero sleep that first night. We made our way down to Katy, Texas, and when we got there, we were stopped because they had finally blocked the roads down, and we were just off of I-10 where they had FEMA, National Guard, DEA, FBI, Secret Service. They had emergency management from Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and others there. And it was a big clusterfuck of everybody sticking their thumbs up each other's asses because they were just running around like trup, 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 not doing anything but stroking each other, because that was happening down there. I think it's still happening down there. Some of the homeless people were freaked out. Thomas Jefferson High School in Port Arthur had a lot of people evacuated by plane, and there was at least 1,500 that were left behind that refused to get on the FEMA planes because they said that they were not making their destinations. They were not showing up in certain areas. And those people, I don't know where they were going. The 1,500 that were there, we sent a security force over to because they almost started rioting at the Thomas Jefferson High School in Port Arthur because of the way they were being treated. And again, I'm going to tell people, we've talked about this for years. For fucking years, we talked about this. Don't go to the FEMA centers. This shit's very real. I just experienced it firsthand. And I've come home to decompress over these issues. 11 p.m. was scheduled to be the release of the blowing of the dam. And at least 3 of the rescuers that I talked to said that the dam had started to fail, and there was a moon-shaped spot in the top of it where water had been coming over and been washing part of the dam away. So people were saved. We rallied back at the Crossing Church, where they basically wrapped everything up for today, and they told the stories of what had been happening. At least one boat had been in another neighborhood and pulled out at least 100 people themselves from that area. And let me tell you something. These stories that you're seeing on CNN and Fox News and stuff about government officials going out on boats and pulling people in and rescuing them were designed as propaganda to let you know that the government was taking care of you, when in all actuality they were not doing evacuations. They were locking down the highways, they were locking down these neighborhoods, and they were going to flood these people in their homes. But if you hear part of the background story of what was actually going on down there, then brings credence to those who put out some of these theories because they have read the FEMA papers or they have read the government documents into these things. Now, and what has brought this up today for me to finally discuss this openly is the fact that FEMA is trying to put their prison ships out at Port Arthur, Texas, to give a place for people to live because their homes have been destroyed or whatever. I later found out that even though we were stopped at this FEMA resource center and this government makeshift resource center at the mall, and let me tell you, and you'll get part of this out of my story, that they do use malls, they do use Walmarts, they do use these other places to set up FEMA and to create FEMA centers in these natural disasters. I saw it firsthand. Some of the people that were going to the FEMA fusion centers were not to be heard or seen from again. I got the rundown from the militia that night about other things that were going on, and I couldn't talk about it at the time because of operational security, but now I'm in the Ozark Mountains. I'm back in Missouri for a minute, and I'm in a little better place to actually be able to tell this story. I do have some pictures and some videos to verify some of the things that I'm talking about, or the fact that I was even there. For the most part, I didn't get to videotape a lot of the things that I wanted to because of security at the time, and because of on Facebook and social media, I was talking about supplies and helping out people, but the very reality of the fact was I was using those boats and I was using those people and those supplies to make sure that armed militia were going in. And I believe wholeheartedly that we stopped a gun confiscation and we stopped them from murdering a lot of people. And the only reason why Hurricane Harvey was not Katrina was because of the Cajun Navy, the Texas Navy, and the response from Texans on their own soil that was saving tens of thousands of lives that I witnessed firsthand while the government was locking down roads and barricading people from being able to help. Within 24 hours, I had more than $50,000 to $100,000 worth of supplies showing up on trucks, along with over 100 armed men and women and medics and corpsmen and people who are not your bullshit militia spouting keyboard warriors that you see on the internet all the time. These are guys who are hardcore motherfuckers that were ready to go in to these little towns and these neighborhoods where they were not doing evacuations, that they were flooding.
Sorry for language, first of all, and second of all, we need people like this. We need people who do get together, who do inform other people, who do stay together with other truthers. We need people who put out this information. We need people who have guns, who will go and help, who will risk their own lives like this guy did. He did. You will hear this in his testimony. It's halfway true. But we need people like that. You need people like that. Everybody needs to wake up. Everybody needs to, like, for example, let's say there's a channel. Somebody has a channel who is watching this video who has, like, let's say 200,000 subscribers, but his channel is only about, let's say, funny stuff. Cats jumping from the tables and etc. Yeah, you get me. But if they do wake up, that would be the best place to do, the best way to wake other people up, because he has so many subscribers, or to start videos like that and then boom, start hitting them with truth, because YouTube is boycotting all these videos. It's just ridiculous. Like, I have 30 subscribers, and after all this, what I have obviously, because I'm showing them the truth. And yes, I will continue this because it's only gonna get more interesting.
And preparing, FEMA and other people were flooding these small towns without doing evacuations and didn't care if people were dying. See, when you have something like a disaster happen, like a hurricane, and many of us have talked about shit hit the fan in our YouTube videos for many years and about preparedness. And it's very important to know that within the first couple days of one of these disasters, that money doesn't matter anymore. What does matter, water, food, ammunition, guns, and the things that you're going to need for survival. By the time I was told that we needed to disarm, I had at least 40 people there armed. AKs, ARs, sidearms, and I started putting a plan together, and I'll just put it this way. I called Murdoch Pisgatti, the president of my organization, on the last day, which I'm going to get to this in a minute, and I told him, I've been busted, and I got to tell you what I was doing, because it might come back on you, because you're the one sending me aid down here. But I was not just trying to put boats in the water. I was not just trying to bring supplies and aid in from other parts of Texas and across the country. What I was doing is I was using the old tactic that we see the government using in saying that we were doing humanitarian aid runs. But on those humanitarian aid runs of ships full of food and medical supplies, I was putting at least 4 to 5 armed men or women team members in boats to get them over into the Golden and Vider areas and the Port Arthur areas, so that we had armed militia in those areas to protect Texans and also help pull them out. The private contractors came in, tried to disarm us, tried to take over our supplies, and I wasn't having any of it. The guy that was working with me hand in hand started carrying around an ice pick because the contractor had threatened his life, and he was ready to stab this guy in his neck because he straight up threatened our lives. I had my 357 on my hip the whole time that I was there, and this contractor was talking to us about open carrying and scaring people, but the real reality is they were trying to control the situation and take over, for whatever reason, supplies and get those armed men out of there. And he tried to take my 357 off my hip, in which case my retention skills that I've done, whether the open carry movement or my training in other areas I'm not going to talk about, I put my elbow directly on my gun as soon as he tried to grab it, smacked his arm away, and had to inform him I was going to shoot him in his head if he tried to touch my gun again, because they were trying to take over and threaten our operation of protecting Texans so that they could get away with whatever they were getting away with, hiding bodies, covering up things that were going on. Some of the neighborhoods that those guys were going into were the richest neighborhoods and were involved in, I believe, government looting or private contractor looting. So we slept in the back corner of the pastor's office that night, and the next morning we had already had everything set up, and we got up and we sent everybody out in 8 to 10 different directions where they couldn't be followed, and they went to their respective places, to these small towns in these areas, and we got the supplies there. We got the armed militia into these areas to protect Texans, and they continued that as I left town and went back to Dallas. My mission at that point in time, after 5 days, was basically over, and I left and got out of the area. The first night that I was there, we had at least one team that was not part of the militia. They were there, I think, as adjutants, and I personally heard them talking about hunting people. And there were people down there that were hunting people. They were not hunting deer, they were not hunting boar, they were not hunting pigs, they were hunting people. I think some of them believe that they were hunting looters, but as I said earlier, after a day or two of being in shit at the fan in a situation where there's no water, no food, your most moralistic person might go into your neighbor's house and try and find food and water for survival. So at this point in time, you have people who aren't necessarily looters, but people who are just trying to survive. And if they looked like looters, they were being shot. They were hunting people. By that night, I had 100 to 150 very tacked out armed teams ready to protect Texans. Ready to go into these small towns and these neighborhoods and make sure that people were not getting locked in, make sure they were getting aid coming into them, and making sure that the government was not allowing people to be killed, whether it was by the release of these dams and the flooding for a second time, not from the hurricane, but they were flooding these areas for a second time. And my security guy informed me that what they were doing was basically flushing the toilet on Port Arthur, and the bodies that they had seen from the hurricane, whether they were full of bullet holes or whether they were just flood victims, were not there during the second flooding. They had not been collected, they were being washed out to sea. Those bodies are not being recorded in the body counts that are happening down there. And now that FEMA and National Guard took over and suspended all rescue operations, people are, they're bringing in prison ships. And I'm going to tell you right now, do not get on their fucking prison ships, because you might not come back. They're allowing the sharks and the fish to eat the bodies that go out to sea, just like they did in Hurricane Katrina. And with millions of people being displaced from their homes and their neighborhoods, you might go missing forever. And they think that you just bugged out and went somewhere else in the country and can't find you. But a lot of these people are going out to sea and never coming back. I was told by the militia guys that they had worked with federal agents at the ATF to secure many of the gun stores in the area, because they were very worried about how many gun stores Houston has, and they wanted to make sure that the gangs weren't breaking in and taking these guns out and being able to use them. And we met up with the Cajun and Texas Navy guys. When I got to the Woodlands, I think it was called the Crossing Church in the Woodlands is where they were set up. I could tell they had a very well put together rescue mission going on with lots of computers and maps and other things, and they were dispatching people to many different locations in different areas. The guys that were running this were obviously pros at what they were doing, and obviously had connections with many other people, because as soon as they gave us a chance to get our boats out there and start going on rescue missions, we heard that there was some really bad looting going on. One of the stories that we heard of was like Grand Theft Auto. Somebody was on a jet ski with pistols in both hands, like firing their guns into people's homes in the Katy area. And DPS showed up. That's Department of Public Safety. For those of you who don't understand, that is basically the Highway Patrol of Texas. And they were putting a DPS agent on every boat and every car going out to do these rescues. The DPS agent that rode with me for several hours was a member of CID, which is Criminal Investigation Detectives or Criminal Investigation Units. And they wanted to make sure that we had our guns with us. So I had a Highway Patrol chick in my car as we were dispatched to go out, and was told to grab my AK-47 and have my pistol on my hip because of what they were involved in. Now, at the time, I didn't realize why DPS was being put on every boat and every truck. We later found out that the reason DPS was with us and wanted to make sure we were armed was because at least one of those gun stores had been taken over, and there was some pretty hardcore gang members that were using the arms that they had gotten to go and loot and rob people. They were stealing boats from people in the Cajun Texas Navy. They were dressing up like rescuers, and when people would answer their door to get rescued, they were robbing them and going in their homes. There were people that were being shot and murdered. And they put the DPS agents and detectives on our boats and on our cars because they were hunting gang members. Like I said, the immediate hours and few days after a disaster, it's lawlessness, it's shit at the fan, and there is no law and order, and things get crazy. And that's another reason why you want to be prepared and have arms in your home and everywhere else. Told these federal agents to get out of their way because they were going in to save Texans. Everybody went home for the night and got some rest, and were scheduled to come back at sunrise to go again. And by the time we got back the next morning, they started dispatching people to the Beaumont-Port Arthur area. That is when a member of the State Department came in, and basically he laid it out like this: we don't want to have a war zone. We need to get people in there to do rescues. They're not allowing anybody to get into this area, so you're going to follow me. It's normally an hour drive. It's going to take us 4 hours to get there because the roads are so flooded that we have to go on all these different county roads and these back ways to get there. So we followed this member of the State Department under, he led at least 30 trucks and boats to the Beaumont area. When we get to Beaumont, we get past all of the roadblocks, we get past everything, and we show up at a church. And then he filled us in on what was going on, and they called it Templar 1. That was the mission we were on, was Templar 1. So we go from there, and the pastor prays over us, and we go out from that spot. And we head over to the local Walmart and Academy store where they were setting up the FEMA Fusion Center and makeshift hospital, and they had a helipad there to be able to do rescues and stuff. So they were using the Walmart stores, and they were using the parking lots there and stuff. There were already lines lining up at the Walmart stores that were at least 2 miles long, and people were being rationed 1 case of water, 1 loaf of bread. It was very socialistically done. This is how FEMA works things. They don't always give people what they need. They just give them little pieces here and there. And it's done in a systematically government-controlled socialistic way. And basically there was bread lines forming, and that's exactly what was happening there at that FEMA center. We rallied there and met up with some other first responders, where we finally took another convoy down into the downtown Beaumont area on a very crazy ride, where we had people on the highway trying to break up our convoy and trying to wreck into our cars, and we're pulling boats. Like, this is not the best thing for us to be involved in, with people trying to run us off the road while we're in a convoy. But there was obviously people that were trying to break up the convoy. I was able to keep it close to the head of the line of the civilians that were involved in this operation and bringing boats in because they didn't have the resources to do what they needed to do. It was such a wide destruction area. We get into downtown Beaumont, and we station in this big parking lot in the middle of downtown, and this is where the State Department official rallied us all together, and he said, "I'm not here. I was never here. I never got you guys in here. But now you're on your own, and here's the scenario. They're getting ready to release the dam here, and within the next hour, you're going to be under 4 foot of water. Find high ground, you're on your own." They left us there to die. They left us there to drown. They didn't give any more information than that. And a bunch of the people in our crews, including police and veterans, are the ones that lost their minds because they didn't have direction and they didn't have anybody give them confirmation on what they were supposed to do, and so they started freaking out. So we started setting up shop. Half the veterans and police freaked out and decided they wanted to go to the local Holiday Inn so they'd have beds and showers and stuff. The other half of us stayed at the church and started putting together basically our own fusion center. And this fusion center that we put together in 48 hours, we put together a small medic hospital. We had nurses, militia, and other people there, and we were not taking...
Yes, guys, so anyway, write down this if you want to see all full interview. I just wanted to show you what it is like whenever you are there yourself, and it was crazy. And what was going on, they were locking up the roads and they were doing what he was saying they were doing, and it's long been conspiracy theory many years ago that they will use Walmarts, and they denied everything like that. So here you go, here is another proof that it's like it is. And here I show you a couple little vids. Let's show you these. They say this is with North Korea, some kind of radar. I don't believe so. I don't believe it's a radar. I think it's a harp. I think it's to do with Nexrad. You should check out Nexrad. Everybody should check this out and research it. This thing can go on water anywhere it wants. So yes, guys, I'm not gonna show you all with, just gonna show you this is inside of these FEMA boats. It looks like exactly like a prison cells and all. It looks exactly like prison. This is ridiculous. If people who've been rescued from flooding get put and locked in, no way I would ever go there. No way I would ever go there.
Some footage showing these barges and how they look just like prison cells inside. I mean, the prison cells. And that's what I was going to show you. And I'm still going to show that to you. But after I show that to you, I want to show you the video that I did back in April of 2016 called Secret of Google Barges Revealed. Now, I hadn't watched that in over a year. I'd completely forgotten about exactly what it was about. So I thought maybe I would leave a link for you guys to see that video, what they were going to do to these people. But I didn't know they were...
So you can see it's exactly like a prison camp, exactly like a prison on the water. And please don't get on them, please. You better be homeless. You better be in water. You will have more chance of surviving. If you have a good job and a good place, and they think that they need you, and you're not a truther, you probably will survive because they need you. They are getting rid of people who are on benefits, so it's easier for them, so they don't have to pay the house, benefits, children, all this stuff. It's just theory. Yeah, I don't have evidence of that, but I have evidence of these ships. I have evidence of first responders on the spot. And here is another two ships. What I hear that Bill Gates has sponsored to build, and Bill Gates is up for depopulation. Check out TED conference 2010, I think it was. He talks. I have video about it. Like you can check out my couple videos. I don't have too many videos. It's not too. You need to check. You need to see my videos to understand everything. a little bit more than you understand from this video.
Folks, and welcome to another short video from aplaintruth.info. I just released a video that was put out by Truth Channel showing ground-based weather modification, further proof from just trucks that they've had this for a long time. And while I was driving around the East Houston, Port Beaumont area, I noticed these ships. And you notice these venting stacks or whatever they are in the front. These are large stacks of release. And I'm wondering, here's these ships. There's two ships parked side by side, and you can read the call letters up here, and I went into that. But notice these containers up here. I mean, these are huge ships. And here's these venting stacks again. You see these on the front? This is Cape Trinity. And so I went over to Cape Trinity, and I looked at the vessel number, call it up, and here's the call letters right here, 7602259, and you scroll down, and they're saying that this is a vessel carrier. Right there, see, vehicles carrier, that's what they're calling these. Well, I got to call BS on that, folks. Why do you need venting stacks on to carry vehicles, right? Look at how big this ship is. Wouldn't that hold a lot of...
It doesn't look like vehicle carrier. I'm gonna tell you guys, I finished maritime college and I know about ships a lot, and it doesn't look like vehicle carriers, especially whenever I saw the other side of the ships. I don't know from which side it opens up to carry vehicles out. Probably this door here, but this is not a vehicle carrier. There is no way this is a vehicle carrier.
Water to be able to suck and pump up the sky. Here's another look at the ship. It's kind of got French colors on there, folks. Restricted area. There's two of these side by side. And they're saying they're holding cars.
They look like new ships. They look color of military ships, so they are military ships. Simple as that.
So I'd love it if the truth community could take a look and see if they can come up with anything else. But these things are massive. These are big.
Cape Trinity, one of the ships is called Cape Trinity, but these things are massive. They're massive, like they are at least 200 meters long or maybe even 300 meters long, and these vents in front is very big, and they could have lots of tanks of water, and they could pump it all up in the air with vapor like you have seen. I will show it to you, ground-based. Next rad. Grow.
Hey folks, and welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info. Today I'm starting a project having to make ocean water vaporization to combine with a cloud condensation nuclei and the barium salts. None of the geoengineering.
I showed you this video. I have one about all this.
Now, the most amazing thing is that cloud up there, which was generated by...
So guys, research Nextrad, aplaintruth.info, Nextrad, ground-based Nextrad, or sea-based Nextrad. It doesn't matter. Please research, guys, because this is important. It's happening. They have this technology. They always had it. They had it from Vietnam War. They were doing it hand to hand. You can check it out. They were cloud seeding then in Vietnam. Anyways, what I wanted to tell you, my phone is, my battery is dying pretty quick. Every time I look at the phone, camera is on, even though it's blocked, even though I turned it off, even though I turned off location is back on, and all the time it's very slow, blah blah blah. So I thought I will check out IP location for it, yeah. And what did it show up? What did you think will show up? It showed up Of course, yeah, it disappeared. Yes. Anyways, it showed up like it's in many places. Yeah, yeah, of course it disappeared. Anyway, I put it in and it showed like I am in 4 different places. And the last place it showed up that I am on Brick Lane 1. So I checked it out and it's this building. It's this building with cameras, and it is. I checked it out. It's Sky building. It's Sky television. It has nothing to do with my network. It has nothing to do with it. And they had like 4 different locations on my IP address. How do you explain this? I don't know. Maybe somebody can help me out with that, because I have photographs of my IP address and everything. I have documented it just in case they change it back or wherever. And yes, and I wanted to tell you about this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything what I think, because I see here is when somebody thinks about something like that, and here is 2,000 likes and 1,000 dislikes. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. People try to tell what they think, and people just dislike about like this thing here. It tells me everything what I need to know. Yeah. Then let's see. Let's see. This is a police officer. Yeah. Let's hear his story and think. Imagine you are in his. And obviously they are coconuts. He would wear coconuts. He's proper police officer. He would wear coconuts jumper. And here is another pyramid, obviously, with also. It doesn't matter. Never mind about that. But just listen. There's at least 50 killed and 200 injured. Yeah. And he doesn't even know his buddy's his partner's name.
When the shooting broke out, Mike, just a horrifying scene right there. Tell us what you went through it.
It was very horrifying. At first,
He seems like he's smiling there. He's not traumatized or anything. Yeah, I know he's police officer, but like this is like the worst ever case he's seen. Like, no.
it sounded like fireworks, and then my buddy that was standing right next to me said, "I'm hit,"
My buddy.
and then we knew it was real, and it was chaos. We got him down, and people screaming, and
He got hit right in the chest?
just pretty horrific. My buddy got shot 3 times in the chest.
How is he doing?
Last I heard, I haven't been on the leave here, but he said he was going to be good.
My goodness. So tell us what happened in those moments afterwards. How did you all get out of there?
Most people started scattering, and they climbed the fence, but I had to stay with my buddy there. So we got him over the fence once the fire.
Wait, you were with your buddy all this time, and you don't even know is he good? Did you not go with him to hospital, or let's hear? I would go with him to hospital if I was staying with him all this time. What he's talking about?
Fire stopped and slid him under his stage, so we were safe. And then we transported him around the backside of the event.
How did you get him around? How did
Got
you
him
stop
over
the
to the
bleeding?
triage. There was 3 of us carrying him, and there was a cart. And so we got him on the cart, and we wheeled that around.
So you were able to get him to the triage, and then where did you all go next, and how did you find safety?
Well, I wasn't really worried about the safety part because I was going to stay with my buddy. There were no ambulances available, really, because it was a fire zone. So we actually got 4 wounded people in the back of a truck.
I know you got 4 wounded people in the back of the truck, but not all of them made it.
No, and no one of the guys in our truck did not make it either. I carried him out of the truck, and he passed away in my arms.
Oh, I can't imagine what that must have been like, but you had the presence of mind to try to get people to safety, but this all unfolded so quickly.
Very quick. It's surreal.
And in those moments, where were your thoughts?
My first thoughts were for my buddy, you know. I mean, I wanted to make sure he was taken care of. But, you know, we were pretty much yelling at everybody to stay down, you know. That was what we needed to do.
Well, we're glad you're okay now. So sorry for your friend and all those who've lost their lives and loved ones in this. But Mike Cronk, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
When you hear fireworks, but an active shooter's machine gun firing off.
We were in the VIP seat, so to the right of the stage, and it sounded like it was right on top of us.
This morning, at least 50 dead, more than 200 injured.
And my other friend was praying over bodies.
Port runways.
Concert there, and Jason Aldean was playing, and kind of sounded like some fireworks going off, and then I think there was like the first kind of volley, and then all of a sudden the second volley, my buddy's like, I just got hit, you know, and got hit 3 times, and then people started diving for the ground, and then it just continued, and it was pretty much chaotic. Lots of people got hit, lots of people were getting, it took a while to get them out. We had to get them over the fence and hiding under the stage for a while, you know, to be safe, and finally we had to move them because he had 3 chest wounds, and got them out here. We got 4 people in the back of the truck, but then we got turned around because there was an active shooter, so we couldn't go down the street. So we finally got an ambulance right here on this right across the street here, and got 2 of the guys in, and basically
I'm sorry guys, maybe you can think all this. Yeah, I will show you one more thing. I want to show you, let's say this is last London tube attack. London tube attack, boom. Okay, wait, sorry, I'm gonna do it on. See this thing here? It's a plastic. Here it's a plastic bag, and from this thing they say 30 people got injured. 30 people. If there was a bomb who made 30 people injured, this here would not stand. It's all would be smashed. All windows would be smashed. There was not one window on this carrier smashed. It didn't even blow off the handles of the plastic bag. What you talking about? Somebody lit this thing. If people can believe that this was real terror attack, that I don't know. Whenever I hear that ISIS claimed the attack, that just did me. And whenever I saw that his brother is pure American, that's what it looks like to me at least. And then his brother should be probably American too, converted to Islam. That's what media says. Couple weeks ago. How do they know all this? And I don't know. I'm not buying it. Like, just it's ridiculous. If you can believe this, you will believe everything. So this one is a lot believable. This one is a lot more believable than the London tube attack. They probably checked the London tube attack. Everybody believed it. Everyone believed it. You was probably calling me now crazy. By the noise of shots, I would say it's empty rounds. I know about guns. I know whenever you shoot out a bullet, it's not so empty shooting. It sounds like empty rounds. Okay, guys, you can do your own research. You can don't do your research. You can believe all what he's saying. You can believe all what media is saying. Police said that thought they were second shooter. There is a video where is second shooter on a second or fourth floor, I'm not sure, but you can see he's firing gun, and every time when he's firing gun, he's turning on light so people don't see that he's firing the gun. You can find this. You can find this on Plain Truth.
That the story of a single gunman operating on the 32nd floor is false.
Right there, baby.
That's the
Fourth floor,
fire.
not the 32nd. Right
One
there.
more time.
Did you see the gunfire here? And whenever he turns another light, here is another light so people don't see where he's firing from. It's a little bit smoky here, looks a little bit smoky to me. Maybe it's not, I'm not sure, but well, it's not on 23rd floor, is it? That's him here. That's this thing here, lads. What you talking about? Like, if you make story, make it a little bit more believable. I know in Spain was happening crazy. People who was up to do like, you know what happened in Spain? Well, research what happened in Spain and research what happened, what's Harvey and Irma. You should research all these facts, and I would not be surprised that they stuck this in to hide all the other things what's happening in the world. But well, it's only my view. I don't know. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's not. Maybe there is people. But I know all this Crisis Act, and I would advise you to research crisis simulations, crisiscloud.com. Check them out. That's what they do. They are crisis actors who go around the world and do crisis acts. Yes, and that's it. That's all I wanted to tell you guys. You can check your IP addresses. Are used. Is anybody listening to you or not? You can see they just cut me off here. But well, it doesn't matter. Well, please stay, guys. Please stay. I will show you last one, so you see the pulse. What they have.
Okay, releasing the moisture, and then zap, the next shred comes up. Oops.
Please copy this. Check this girl out. Listen to her. Copy this and please research it. It's all real. It's all real. All these things are real. There is no lie about their facts. It's all documented. There is even a website. There is even a site what is doing cloud seeding. You can even do it. You can do this stuff. You can tell them, pay them lots of millions so they do chemtrailing in your area. That's like private stuff you can do. So anyways, guys, God bless and have a good and safe time, and Jesus will be back soon.